Good afternoon and welcome to the Tasting Room. You're joining me this morning with a very special, esteemed guest from the Lunelli family, Mr. Matteo Lunelli. And if you're not familiar with the Lunellis, you will be by the time we're done with our show today. They have a very special property in northern Italy in the Trentino wine area, up in the Alto Adige area. And without further ado, let me welcome Mr. Matteo Lunelli. Matteo, thank you for joining us on the Tasting Room today.
Thanks to you, Mike, and hello to all of the people listening to us.
I think you have a pretty big fan base here in Montana, where I'm located. We love the Ferrari sparkling wine products, and we're going to talk about those products, but we're also going to talk about some other wine properties that you and your siblings have created through the Lunelli Group, which is of interest to me because it's the future of what's happening with Ferrari and the Lunelli Group. And but first of all, let's talk about Giulio Ferrari and the history of the Ferrari Winery, Matteo.
Thank you, Mike. So I'm Matteo Lunelli, and I represent the third generation of my family who is involved in Ferrari. But the history of Ferrari started in 1902, and it is when Giulio Ferrari, our founder, started to produce the first bottles of Ferrari. Giulio Ferrari has been really a pioneer. He has been, he studied viticulture and enology in Trentino first, and then he specialized also in Montpellier. We were at the end of the 19th century, and he also went to have something like a stage in the Champagne region, which is where he learned how to make bottle fermented sparkling wine. So when he came back to his own region of Trentino, everything started from his dream to create an outstanding bottle fermented sparkling wine in his homeland. And he had this fantastic intuition. He understood that Trentino can be a perfect land to produce Chardonnay and Pinot Noir grapes for a bottle fermented sparkling wine. You know, it has been a great intuition because nobody was doing that before. Trentino has a very long history for winemaking, but nobody else was doing sparkling wine and bottle fermented sparkling wine. I think that that intuition proved to be very successful because, and very right, because nowadays there are 44 wineries producing Trento DOC, which is a bottle fermented sparkling wine in Trentino. Things started.
That's amazing. And let me just ask, and please don't be humble here, because the Ferrari Winery is the most prominent sparkling wine house in all of Italy. And certainly, I want to say, I believe in the top 5 sparkling wine houses worldwide, which is amazing. I mean, I've had every one of the sparkling wine products in the Ferrari Winery portfolio on a former show that Jamie Stewart joined me some years back, who is an incredible brand ambassador, I must say, for the Ferrari Winery. And I'm humbled and feel very privileged to have you as a representative of the Lunelli family here with me on the Tasting Room radio program today. But why is Ferrari so great? What is it? The attention to detail? Is it the passion? Tell me, Matteo, what, in your humble opinion, what makes you so special?
Thank you very much for your kind words, Mike. I think as every great wine, certainly we are an expression of our own territory. As I said before, this was the first intuition of Giulio Ferrari. Our wine is an expression of the mountain viticulture of Trentino. We are a mountain sparkling wine. We have a terroir with a very unique climate. Especially on the slope of the Trentino mountains, we have a strong diurnal shifting temperature between day and night. During the day, our vineyards are kissed by the sun, So it's a Mediterranean climate. In these days, our vineyards are warm and the grapes are maturing very well. But during the night, the cold air comes down from the top of the mountains. And so there is this strong shift in temperature, enables our grape to achieve perfect aromatic maturation and at the same time maintaining a correct and balanced acidity. So the first, I think, element, which is the key for the quality and excellence of Ferrari, is the terroir, is the territory of Trentino and our mountains. Then, obviously, it's. I think we are lucky to have a very long experience. You know, we have over a century of history, and this has allowed us to learn year after year how to make better and better our wines. We like a words and a sentence from Aristotle that says, "Excellence is not an act but an habit." And excellence for me is really comes from attention to each and every single details in the production process. There is not one single idea that makes an outstanding wine. It's all about taking care of each step in the production process with a lot of passion and care to each and every single detail. And this is something that we share with all our team. You know, our wine is the result of the passion of the people, of the men and women that work at Ferrari, of the people that work in the vineyards and in the winery. So terroir, history and tradition, the passion of the people, and the mix of everything, I think this is what makes Ferrari special. And lastly, we are also proud to be a great expression of the Italian lifestyle and Italian art of living, which nowadays I think is very well appreciated around the world. You know, Ferrari wants to be an expression and an ambassador of the joy and the art of Italian living.
That's just outstanding. It just makes me want to have a sip of a beautiful Brut Rosé that you make, because that is such a delicious sparkling wine.
Thank you. So, Rosé, because the Giulio Ferrari started with Chardonnay. Chardonnay has been always the key for our wines, but we fell in love with Pinot Noir as well, and Pinot Noir is the key for producing our rosé, because our rosé is a blend of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. We vinified our Pinot Noir in rosé, and we think our mountain Pinot Noir is a very specific style. So I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you enjoy it. But if you want, I can also go back and tell you more about the history, because we started with Giulio Ferrari, but I think in this century of history there are some nice things to tell, which are as well the key for the quality and the success of Ferrari.
Tell me, just going back in history a little bit, about Bruno Lunelli and how Giulio Ferrari specifically chose Bruno to take over the operations of Ferrari originally. And I'd like to hear a little bit of that history, and then bring me up to date about you and your sister and brothers and what your different roles at Ferrari are.
It's a very important passage actually in the history, what you mentioned, because Giulio Ferrari ran the Ferrari Winery for 50 years with this idea to create an excellent sparkling wine in his own region. But then after the Second World War, since he had no children, he had to find somebody who could continue his vision. And between many pretenders, he chose my grandfather as his own successor. And at that time, there were many pretenders, because many other entrepreneurs and companies wanted to buy Ferrari, because Ferrari was already quite well known in Italy. But Giulio Ferrari thought that Bruno Lunelli, my grandfather, was the perfect person to take the baton, because they knew each other. My grandfather was not the richest pretender, but he was a friend of Giulio Ferrari. Giulio Ferrari knew him because my grandfather was a wine merchant, so he was a client of Giulio Ferrari, and he was also distributing his wines around the region. So he knew that he was very passionate about this product. My grandfather believed blindly in the potential of Ferrari, and so and that's the reason why he decided to hand over the company to him. And it's important that between Giulio Ferrari and my grandfather, there has been also, for some years, they worked together. So basically, even after selling the winery to my grandfather, Giulio Ferrari was coming to the company and he was helping my grandfather, especially in all the production process. So Giulio Ferrari continued to bring his knowledge and his passion to the winery, even after selling to my grandfather. So this happened in 1952. So in 1952 starts the history of the Ferrari Winery under the leadership of my family. And since then, I think it has been a long story of continuous growth and success, but always without compromising the quality. So basically, I think that the winery has grown dramatically, but maintaining loyal to the principle of the founder. There are some things that will never change at Ferrari Winery, which is, for example, first of all, this search of excellence in every detail that I mentioned before. This is a part of the DNA of Ferrari Winery. This was the idea and the philosophy of Giulio Ferrari. The second element is the link with Trentino. We have a strong and intimate link to the territory of Trentino, and Ferrari has always been made with grapes from Trentino and always will be. And again, this will never change. We are a Trento DOC and we are proud to be like that. Third element, the control of the production process from the soil to the table. We think that a quality wine comes and happens if you can control all the production process. And we do it, we control each and every single step. And so all these elements and all these principles remain the same. At the same time, I think that in order to grow, each generation that came to the winery brought his own passion and his own ideas. We are now at the third generation. Nowadays we have over a century of history, and we are glad that Ferrari now is, as you mentioned before, is successful. And we are proud to be the toast of Italy for excellence. We are the leading producer of high-end sparkling wine in Italy, and we have been the toast of some of the most important events in the world of Italian institutions, sports, cinema, fashion. This is something that we are very proud of. And at the same time now, our mission and our challenge and our dream is to bring Ferrari more and more around the world. It's for me an immense pleasure to be able to speak to people in the United States and in Montana not only, because the U.S. market is for me, is a key market for the future of our winery, is the most important market for Italian wines abroad. And I think that Ferrari still has a strong potential to grow in the US. So it's for me, it's a great opportunity to be able to tell what is behind the bottle of Ferrari.
Matteo, do you ever travel to the United States with your business?
Oh yeah, pretty often. I will be there. I actually will be on holiday, first of all, in the United States with my family, because we are going to visit some of the national parks, and I'm flying to San Francisco, and I'm going to Yosemite and then other national parks in August. But then I will be back in October, because we will be the host of the Emmy Awards. So I will be back to Los Angeles in October, and this is going to be a great event. It's the third time that we are the toast of the Emmy Awards, of the Governor Ball, which is an amazing dinner that happens in Los Angeles. 4,000 people sitting down, and a lot of the celebrities in the world of TV and cinema. So that's going to be a great event, and I will fly there to Los Angeles for this event. In addition, obviously, I will visit some of our clients in the area. And then probably I will be in New York again for the wine experience and for some other meetings, business meetings. It is, I put myself, obviously, I come to the U.S. often. We are also glad to have an ambassador like Jamie Stewart, which is very important for us in the market. And we are also a strong partner as a Palm Bay, which is our importer since some years in the United States. We have a strong partnership with Palm Bay Imports, and they certainly are crucial for our success in the United States, as well as all the distributors in the different states.
Palm Bay is a very good company that I've had a good relationship with, and they're great to work with, and have a great portfolio.
Well, we have I think we understand each other very well. We share the same passion for wine, and they're also a family business, which is a common characteristic between us. They have at the same time a strong team of people but also somebody like Mark Taub that brings over the passion and the tradition of the Taub family in the business.
You mentioned sports earlier, and when I was doing my homework for our conversation today, I came across a picture of Gilles Villeneuve on your website. I'm a very big Formula One auto racing fan, and I've had the pleasure when Gilles was alive to see him race a number of times for the Ferrari Formula One team. And I love seeing his picture on your website.
Yeah, that's a picture that we are that I'm also very close to. It's a marvelous picture of Gilles Villeneuve smiling with two bottles of Ferrari just on top of the wheel of his Ferrari. He has been an amazing driver. He was a fantastic person. And we are honored that he toasted many times to his victories with Ferrari. We are, since you mentioned Ferrari cars, I'm also passionate about cars. Ferrari Car and Ferrari Trento Winery, we are two different companies, but we are glad to share the name with another excellence of Made in Italy. So we are two different companies. They were actually founded and created after our winery because Ferrari Cars was founded by Enzo Ferrari in 1947, which is 45 years after Ferrari Winery. But I think they are certainly a magnificent brand in Italian luxury and Italian excellence around the world. And so it's nice that in all their history, they have toasted many times with Ferrari during their victories and their events.
Well, and I have to admit that when I first was experienced the Ferrari Winery sparkling wines, I was taken by the name Ferrari because it's just synonymous with the Ferrari automobiles, and I'm such a huge fan. And I don't know if you watch Formula One auto racing, but Ferrari's having a great season this year with Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen at the wheel, and I never miss a race. So.
Forza Ferrari, we say in Italy, absolutely. No, they are. It's a great company. The cars are absolutely fascinating, and this year they are also very well positioned to win, so everybody in Italy is a fan of Ferrari cars.
Absolutely, as it should be, Matteo.
It looks like it's growing also in the United States, the interest for Formula One.
I'm sorry, excuse me?
I was saying that it looks to me that also in the United States, the interest for Formula One is growing.
It is finally. It's under, they finally sold Formula One, and Bernie Ecclestone is out, and Liberty Media Group has taken over Formula One and are doing a great job in the productions and broadcasting of it. And I think in tying back to the Ferrari Winery, I noted what a great job in positioning the Ferrari Winery that the Lunelli family is doing in today's world with the millennial generation, because the website expresses what the wines do in a bottle about having an experience, enjoying the Italian lifestyle. When you drink your sparkling wine, it's almost like taking a trip and never leaving home, because you get that experience and that expression of terroir. And I've always said to winemakers and families that own wineries, when you drink the wine, you really understand the personality of the winemaker and the family that owns that winery. And maybe you could speak to that just a little bit, Matteo.
Yeah, certainly behind a wine, as I said before, there is first of all a territory, and then there is people. And in a great wine, you should feel both of them. I think that the elegance and the freshness of Ferrari and the harmony of Ferrari comes from our mountains. this is the key. And as a family, we want to be culture carriers, so we want to bring over our style and our values. At the same time, I'm also keen to say that we are a family business, but we would not be able to do what we do without this amazing team of people that share with us this passion. So in the third generation of the Lunelli family, four of us are still involved and fully involved in the winery. But the team is very big, and in every area of the company, I think we have talented people, and that's the reason why we can do what we do. Talented people, as I said, that really share a common passion. I hope that this will continue, because it's the key for making beautiful wines. A wine is emotion, and a great wine needs to deliver an emotion. So first of all, I think people we need to have this emotion in ourselves, and that's absolutely crucial.
Beautifully said, and so true. Matteo, tell us briefly about the role that you play in Ferrari and your brothers and sister. What do you do? I realize you must all have different roles within the company.
Actually, we are four cousins. I'm the president and CEO, so I oversee all the strategies, and I'm leading the company. But I have my cousin Marcello, who is overseeing all the production. He's an analog, so he is overseeing all our vineyards and the production of Ferrari as an analog from the technical point of view. My cousin Camilla, she's in charge of PR and the press office, so she's working with in the communication area. And my cousin Alessandro is an engineer, so he takes care of all the technical office. Is working on the production of our wine, mineral water Surgiva. He oversees also a new business, the production of a new business that we recently acquired, a new winery, which is Bisol. So each one of us has his own duties and his own role inside of the company. I think that it is very important for us to maintain a balanced relationship between the family and the winery. As I said before, we are proud to be a family business. At the same time, I think that it's always important to create rules that discipline this relationship between the family and the business, because I think that the winery should come first, and so we are there in order to make the winery better. And we will never want to be in any way a limit to the company, and we want to be able to attract continuously new talents inside of the winery, because that's the only way we can grow.
Tell me about the portfolio of Ferrari, and I'm curious, when do you decide I want to drink the Ferrari Brut, or maybe I'm in the mood for the Ferrari Rosé, and it goes up the line, shall we say, because there are some very premium sparkling wine products in the Ferrari portfolio. And I'm just curious, you as the CEO of the company, how do you decide which bottle you're going to grab and when?
Okay, first of all, when. Luckily there are many opportunities to open a bottle of Ferrari, because Ferrari can be a perfect wine for an aperitif or for an afternoon meeting with friends where you want to have a toast. But it's also food friendly, so it can be opened during lunch or dinner and paired with food. Because Ferrari and Trentino in general are very flexible in pairing with food, and they are very food friendly. So there are many opportunities, as well as in parties. If you are having a stand-up party with eating different things, it's certainly the perfect environment and for a glass of Ferrari. So first of all, there are luckily many opportunities. Obviously, for me, even more than for others probably. But I find myself in many times with the opportunity to open a bottle of Ferrari, and I hope that every time this bottle of Ferrari is bringing a little bit of joy and a little bit, and as we said before, an emotion. Which one should I open? It really depends. We think that we try to achieve excellence in every one of our labels, and each one of them has its own character. And so, for example, the freshness of our non-vintage Ferrari Brut, for me, is perfect for an aperitivo, as we like to say in Italian. An aperitivo means when you have a glass of wine and some small bites of food before dinner, perhaps having the opportunity to chat with a friend or to meet people. And, I love to have a Ferrari Brut with some Parma ham, some Parmesan, or some small mozzarella. This is some olives. It's an easy way to have a nice aperitivo, perhaps with a little bit of focaccia from Genova. This time, in Liguria, we have, it's a region on the seaside where they make this fantastic focaccia. So that would make a perfect Italian aperitivo. But I think in the United States you can find a nice ham and a little bit of Parmesan, and that with a glass of Ferrari Brut is a perfect aperitivo. With rosé allows you to go, for example, to be paired also with some meat. So, for example, I love to have our rosé also with lamb or with even with a steak. People in the US probably you're more used to think about a Cabernet Sauvignon to be paired with a steak, but you should try as well, for example, once in a while, a rosé with a steak. And then, if you want to have another, interesting and nice pairing of our Ferrari rosé, try pizza e bollicine. Bollicine in Italian means sparkling, bubbles. So I say pizza and the Ferrari Trento Doc can be nice, and I would pair a pizza margherita with a Ferrari rosé. Then, let's not forget our Ferrari Perlé. Ferrari Perlé is a vintage Ferrari Trento Doc. It's only made with Chardonnay grapes from our estate vineyards. It is currently we are at vintage in the US. I think you can find 2009 or someplace already 2010. It's a wine that has over 5 years of aging on the lees, so the complexity of this wine rises, but the harmony and freshness is still there. It's a perfect Ferrari to be paired with food, with a nice pasta or risotto, as well as many other dishes, if you want to have a perfect blanc de blanc for a dinner. And then finally, we have our, if I think about a meditation wine, a wine that you can open anytime, but which probably you want to open for a very, very special occasion. Go also for a Giulio Ferrari Riserva del Fondatore. It's the pinnacle of our production. It's a cru. It comes from the grapes of Chardonnay of Maso Pianizza, which is a very special vineyard on the Trentino mountains. And this is a wine that aged on the lees for 10 years. It's a wine that, to me, demonstrates the ability of Trento Doc to win the challenge of time. So for a very special occasion, I would say open a Giulio Ferrari. Or perhaps, why not? Once, if you have the opportunity, let's make a tasting together and open all of them together so that you can compare them.
and I think that we should do that, Matteo. And I fortunately have had the experience of all of those wines, and they are amazing. And thank you for suggesting the food pairings. I think that's fantastic because, that's what, when I'm teaching and sharing about wine with my audience, it's interesting, old world winemaking technique and technology. Those wines really were made with the indigenous foods of an area, where things that are made here in the New World really are not made with that specifically in mind. So, I have to say I'm a fan of old world wines and winemaking, and those are beautiful pairings. Let's talk about the Lunelli Group, because you, as a family, have purchased other wine properties that have, they're chateau-like properties with beautiful places to stay. And you're doing some still wines, which I found very interesting. So, can you tell us a little bit about that, Matteo?
Yes. Around Ferrari, we built, starting in the 80s, a group that we like to call as the group of expensive Italian drinking. So basically, the first step for us was we started to produce some still wines in Trentino. It was 1987 when we did our first still wine in Trentino. Actually, in the absolute first acquisition we made was the Segnana grappa. So we acquired a very unique distillery from Trentino, the Segnana distillery. Segnana is a very old distillery that was founded, imagine, in 1860. So 1 year before the Italian unification. So it's a very old distillery with a long tradition that was from our home region of Trentino. And the second generation of my family decided to acquire the distillery in 1982. Then, as I said, we started the production of some still wines. We started with Chardonnay because we have this amazing experience on Chardonnay. Before I said that Giulio Ferrari was a pioneer. It's also a pioneer because he's been the first one to bring Chardonnay in Italy. When he came back from France, he brought some Chardonnay and he started planting this Chardonnay on the mountains of Italy. Nowadays, you can find Chardonnay from Trentino to Sicily, but he is considered in the book of enology the person who brought Chardonnay into Italy. So we have a very long tradition, the longest tradition in Italy for cultivating and making Chardonnay wines, and we still do it. So we started with these still wines in Trentino. Then in 1988, we acquired a mineral water. Again, everybody was very surprised that a wine producer decided to acquire a mineral water company. But Surgiva, the mineral water we acquired, is a very unique mineral water because it comes from the National Park of Adamello. It's a fantastic and very area. It's the biggest glacier in this area of the Alps. And it creates a unique water which is extremely light because it comes from granite soil. It comes from the glacier and then this water passes through granite. And our spring is at high altitude. It comes out at very low temperature, and it is a pure and very light mineral water. So we decided to acquire this brand, and we made Surgiva one of the most exclusive mineral water brands in Italy, dedicated only to restaurants, and we sell it only in glass bottles. Then, again, in the year 2000, we thought about doing more and more red wines, and that's the reason why we went to Tuscany first, and we acquired an estate in Tuscany, around the hills of Pisa. It's a beautiful region. It's called Tenuta Podernovo, and then we acquired another estate in Umbria. Umbria is a region. It's a very old, ancient region, which produces a very unique wine, which is Sagrantino. We fell in love with this unique wine, which is a very powerful and intense red wine. It's the red wine with the highest amount of polyphenols and tannins. And so we decided to acquire an estate in Umbria, and we built a magnificent and wonderful winery with the project of a very important and famous sculptor from Italy called Arnaldo Pomodoro. So basically, it's a unique winery also because it's like a piece of art where you can work and live. It's called the Carapace. If you go in the web and you say Carapace, you can see this fantastic and beautiful winery in Umbria. So slowly we built this group, and the last step we have done has been the acquisition of Bisol. Bisol is a Prosecco from Valdobbiadene. It's a winery that has a very long tradition of producing Prosecco Superiore from Valdobbiadene. The Bisol family has a very long tradition of making Prosecco since many centuries, and we met each other, and we decided to partner. And we first acquired a small stake in the company, and then a larger stake. And I think that we are very lucky, because even nowadays we have the control of of Bisol, but the Bisol family is still working with us. It's similar to what happened with Giulio Ferrari, where that he stayed even after selling the winery to us. The same way, the Bisol family is still involved in the Bisol winery, even if now Bisol is part of the Lunelli group. Because probably they understood that inside of the Lunelli group, this winery could really grow and continue his amazing tradition. So after all these steps, we really built a nice portfolio of wine and brands that share the same values. You see, I think that all of these wines and products share the same values of quality, linked to their own territory and tradition. So I think that that's the philosophy of the Lunelli Group, and that is the way we want to continue even in the future.
I will share the link from the Umbria property, because the sculpture, as you call it, is an amazing. That property is amazing to look at. It's maybe the eighth wonder of the world. It's just beautiful. And
Carapace is really the turtle shell, and the idea behind this winery is that the turtle is a symbol of longevity, and it's a symbol of and Sagrantino as a wine is a wine that is really long aging. As well, I think the turtle shell is a symbol of the contact between the earth and the sky. And in a sense, when you cultivate the earth, this is what you want to do. An Italian writer was saying that that wine is the hymn of the earth to the sky.
Wow. And I love to see that you were in Umbria. I've had the pleasure of having Marco Capri from Umbria has been a guest on the Tasting Room show in the past. And it is...
Marco is a friend and is a great winemaker who started really to understand all the potential, who understood the potential of Sagrantino, and so he has been, for the region of Umbria, has been really a very important pioneer.
Well, those are nice words, and nice to have friends like that. And I can't thank you enough for joining me today on the Tasting Room, Matteo. It's been an absolute pleasure, and to have someone of the likes of the Ferrari Winery and your CEO position. I know how busy you are, and I thank you for taking time to come on the Tasting Room show to share your passion for life, the land, and your sparkling wine products with our listeners today. It's just been truly a gift for me, and I really thank you for that.
Well, thanks to you. It is my pleasure. I know that many of the people who listen to you and to your channels are wine lovers in the United States, and so for us it's a fantastic opportunity. Let me also tell them that they're all invited to visit us. Our winery is open for visits, so if they're in Italy, I think that the best way to really understand Ferrari, after my words or after tasting it in the United States, is to come and see our territory. We have an amazing land. Trentino is really a fantastic place. And when you visit Ferrari, we welcome our visitors with what we call a tour between taste and beauty, because the taste is coming from our Ferrari and also from a Michelin star restaurant, because we also have inside of our estate a restaurant with 2 Michelin stars run by a very talented chef called Alfio Ghezzi. So you can find taste, but you can also find beauty, because you will be able to visit our vineyards, which are on the slope of the Trentino mountains, which is a beautiful landscape. And in the middle of our vineyards, there is a villa of the 16th century, which is called Villa Margon, which is a fantastic piece of art. It's probably one of the most beautiful villas in all which is positioned in the Italian Alps. And what makes it really unique is that in Italy there are a lot of beautiful palaces in the city, but this time if you come, you can see a palace which is in the middle of the woodland and all surrounded by vineyards. So this makes this place very unique. And inside there are marvelous frescoes which have more than 500 years. And some of these frescoes represent the life of the vine and the vineyards, which is a great testimony of the fact that Trentino is a land with a long tradition of winemaking. So I really look forward to welcome all of our listeners and all of these wine lovers to Ferrari Winery. It would be a pleasure.
Well, and I cannot wait to visit. But until then, when I'm sipping on my Ferrari Rosé, I will take a trip and dream of that.
Absolutely, no, thank you. And I hope I was able to transmit and to give a little bit the feeling of what Ferrari is, of our tradition, our history, and our territory. As far as I understand, you like very much rosé, and I think anyway, I like myself rosé as well. Sometimes some people makes a big mistake on rosé. They think that rosé is a second-tier wine, but making an amazing rosé, especially a traditional method rosé, is a very difficult task. Sometimes for an enologue, it's even a stronger challenge because the rosé, you have to balance a lot of things. You have to balance, obviously, perfumes, aromas, and also the color. And it's all a game of balancing the structure of Pinot Noir and the elegance of Chardonnay. And I think our rosé is quite special. And in sparkling wine, there is a strong dispersion in style of rosé. So I'm glad that you like our rosé.
Well, I love all of your sparkling wines, Matteo. And they are all fantastic and to enjoy for different occasions, like you spoke so well of.
And by the way, let me just mention, I'm happy also that I had the opportunity to speak about Trentino and to mention many times that Ferrari is a Trento doc. Sometimes we have not been as effective in communicating, especially in the United States, about our denomination. The Trento DOC is the denomination of traditional method sparkling wines made with Chardonnay or Pinot Noir grapes cultivated on the Trentino mountains. It is, I think, an amazing expression of traditional method sparkling wine because it's a mountain sparkling wine. And together with Ferrari, there are other 43 wineries producing Trento DOC in our region. And we are, I think, in the future, we like to be more and more inside of in the United States because we want to really demonstrate the potential of our region. So I'm as leading company in Italy, I think we feel also the privilege to be the leaders also in our territory. And so it's, I wanted to underline the Trento DOC as our denomination.
Beautifully said. And I would love to invite any of your friends that you would like to be on the tasting room for a discussion. Please send them my way because we love what you're doing there. And Matteo, I cannot thank you enough. It has been just a true pleasure to host you on the tasting room today. And I look forward to sharing this with my wine community around the world. And until we meet again and talk again, Matteo, I wish you and the Lunelli family well and just wonderful things for the Ferrari Winery. Thank you for all that you and your family do. It's been a pleasure today. And until next time, I'll say ciao.
Ciao. Thank you very much again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.